1 week and 1 day till Christmas. Have you got all your Christmas shopping done? Who hasn't finished their Christmas shopping? You guys have a busy week. Have you ever got a bad gift? Happens to me all the time. It's your fault. Some of the gifts are amazing. People have given me all kinds of stuff. Years ago, I made the mistake of telling people I liked penguins. I got books, stuffed animals, remote control penguins, pictures, keychains. I don't like penguins anymore. One year, we went to Christmas at Cindy's Aunt Jackie at her house, and everybody's opening gifts. And I mean, they were incredible gifts. People were opening Xboxes and envelopes full of money, and people were crying and hugging Aunt Jackie and telling her thank you. And I couldn't wait to open my gift because I knew it was going to be amazing after seeing everything everyone else got. And I started imagining what it might be. And when I opened it up, it was a wooden desk game. Because that's what I want to do. When I'm working, need a little break, I want to take out a piece of wood and play a little game. Beat up, sorry dog gift. I get bizarre golf items that I don't recognize and would never use. A couple years ago, I got this duffel bag full of golf tees. Enough golf tees to last 10 lifetimes. I get clothes that don't fit. I get everything from extra small to extra large. I wear a medium. One year, I got a bag of dried black-eyed peas. It was actually sent through the mail, anonymous. They spent more on postage than they sent on the bag of peas that went in the bag of trash. Why? I don't know. I got a signed photo of Pastor Parker and Aaron Stone. That's valuable. And for some reason, mostly because we have a bunch of smart Alex in our church, I get all kinds of pickle gifts, which I immediately throw away. I don't even want stuffed pickles or pickle ornaments near me because I don't want to allow the devil a place in my home or my office. So I annually contribute to one of the biggest shopping days of the year, the day after Christmas, when people take everything they don't want back to the store. If it's useless, the wrong size, the wrong color, if you already have it or you can't figure out what it is, no problem. You take it back, you get the right size, you get the right color, or you get something you actually like. On December 26th, you exchange the bad thing you have and don't want for a good thing that you don't have and you really want. Well, today I want to look at a different kind of exchange. Jesus gives you a chance to exchange something you struggle with for something only He can give. It's an amazing offer. It's a powerful promise. Before I get to what Jesus gives, let me take a few minutes about what you get to exchange. Earlier this year, I went through a lot of stressful things in 5 weeks. Heart trouble, a tornado, followed by my son, Parker, and Pastor Randy and JT trapped in Sudan. Over 13 days that the guys were stuck in the middle of a war. My best night, I got 3.5 hours of sleep. It was high stress, high emotion, high stakes. When those few weeks were done, I was absolutely exhausted. Recovery took weeks. I'm still weary. I enjoy talking about areas that are strengths, where I'm modeling good habits and behaviors, where I can share principles. Weaknesses aren't as fun to talk about, but I suspect many of you struggle with this same thing. I have a tendency to work too long, schedule too full, and commit way too much. I don't do well at things like taking days off. I'm horrible at resting. I'm not looking for sympathy. In fact, I don't deserve sympathy for an out-of-balance life. I have a lot of good excuses. Well, we got a big church. It's just what it takes. I don't want to be the slowdown. I don't want to make everyone wait on me. I've always been this way. Like somehow always being this way is a good reason to keep being this way. I'm famous for saying, I can do anything for a while. I've been making that statement for about 22 years. Now, you probably haven't noticed because I still look so youthful. That wasn't funny. But I've aged just a bit in 22 years. This is what I looked like when I started the journey as your pastor. You have made me old. Now, before you write an email correcting me, evaluate yourself. Are you tired and worn out? Maybe it's more than just today. You're pushing yourself to the breaking point. You got a lot of good reasons. Well, I have to. This is what it takes. I don't have a choice. If I don't do it, who will? I've always been this way. I'll survive. But regardless of your excuses, you're emotionally, physically, and spiritually exhausted. Is that you? Are you pushing too hard for too long? I understand that can be a loaded question. You hesitate because if you admit you're wore out, am I going to lecture you about getting the right amount of sleep the night before church and giving God your best? Or am I going to be watching close to make sure you don't go to sleep? No tricks. I just want you to be honest with me and with yourself. Are you deep down tired and exhausted? The biblical word for that is weary. The dictionary definition of weary is physically or mentally exhausted by hard work, exertion, or strain. Fatigued, tired. Does that describe you? Sometimes it's your fault. You go too fast, too far, and don't take care of yourself. You try to do more than you can or should. You refuse to allow anyone to help you. You call that independence, but it's really stubborn pride. You don't take care of yourself. You aren't eating right. You're not getting enough sleep. You're a perfectionist. Not only do you think you have to do everything, you have to do it the best. You're wearing yourself out. Other times, it seems there's nothing you can do about it. You're caring for an aging parent who's sick. Or you're a single mom balancing school and work and kids. You don't have time or the money to take a real break. You're facing physical challenges, sickness or disease or chronic pain. Your business is short of employees and you're having to work extra. Your kid's sick. Adding that to your already busy life has you missing sleep, feeling stressed. Maybe you have to work overtime or a second job to make ends meet. Every area in your life has stress: marriage, family, work, school. Maybe you work at a school where long days are expected and required. You love what you do, but each day is physically, mentally, emotionally draining, and you're worn out. You're exhausted with no end in sight. You're headed for a crash. It's inevitable. It's not just you. 3 out of 5 Americans say they feel more tired now than ever before. The effects are far-reaching. Exhaustion leads to physical problems. Your body and immune system are weakened by your schedule and stress. Other times, exhaustion can be a sign of a physical problem. If you are worn out all the time, if you're exhausted and you can't seem to get ahead of it, you can't figure out why, you need to get yourself checked out. You need to go to the doctor. Exhaustion also leads to relational problems. You're more impatient. You say things and you react to things different than usual. There's tension in your marriage. There's tension in your family. if you're exhausted already, there's going to be tension around Christmas. Your performance at work and school suffers because of your tired, weakened condition. It affects your job performance. It affects your grades. Not only are you in danger of a physical collapse, exhaustion is dangerous for your spiritual condition. I've shared this acronym with you before. You are most vulnerable to sin and temptation when you are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. That's the acronym, HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If you're 3 or 4 of those at the same time, watch out. When you're weary, your defenses are weakened. It's a dangerous time. Now, I want to pause and tell you, being weary, exhausted, worn out is not a sin. It's not a sin to be tired. It can happen to anyone at any age. Parents, grandparents, young adults, students, even kids find themselves on empty at the end of their strength. So what do? If you're exhausted, is there an answer? Is there a hope? Jesus knew what you would face. He understood weariness and fatigue, so he offered a way out. A beautiful promise found in Matthew chapter 11. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." You don't hear that phrase very often, maybe never in today's world, take my yoke upon you. And so you hear that, like, I don't get it. Well, in order to understand the promise, we got to kind of dig down and figure out what that means. In Bible times, a yoke connected 2 oxen. When 2 oxen were yoked together, it required both animals to work at the same speed and strength. They had to keep up with each other. The animals had no choice. The yoke was on them. The whip was cracked. Difficult work was done. Then the other meaning. Throughout the Bible, the idea of being yoked to something was not a good thing. Being yoked speaks of subjection and slavery. It's working long and hard because you're forced to. You don't have a choice. Yoking yourself to Jesus is the opposite. It doesn't result in hard work because his yoke is gentle, easy, and light. Jesus said, "Come to me. Place yourself in the yoke. Choose to join me. Connect yourself to me. I won't place unnecessary demands on you. I won't be mean or cruel. When you get here alongside me, I'll do the pulling. My yoke is easy. My burden is light." When you yoke yourself to Jesus, you move at his speed, not your own. He does the striving. He does the pulling. He does the hard work. It's arriving on time, his time, not ahead of him or behind him. And then there was another meaning to the term yoke. In Bible days, when a young Hebrew boy was educated and at least 14 years old, if he desired to continue his education and become a rabbi, first, he had to find a rabbi that was willing to teach him. In order to prove his worth as a follower, the would-be student was gruelingly tested in his knowledge of the Torah and other books of the law. He was also put through difficult debates to prove that he had the ability to speak and to argue and to think quickly. If he passed all those tests and looked like he would be a good rabbi, he would hear these words, "Take my yoke and follow me," which meant he was accepted. Every young man longed to hear those words. He would then be totally committed, devoted to learning and becoming like his rabbi. Jesus walked into that culture and said, "You don't have to do a bunch of work. You don't have to prove yourself. You passed the test. Come to me. You're accepted. You're selected. Take my yoke on you. We're in this together. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Jesus made that offer not just to the best and the brightest or the privileged few, but to all who are weary and burdened. Jesus said, if you're beat down and weary, if you're chewed up and you have nothing left, come to me, join me, come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, let's look back at the definition of weary. Physically or mentally exhausted by hard work, exertion, or strain, fatigued, tired. Now the dictionary definition of rest. There's several. The refreshing quiet or repose of sleep. Refreshing ease or inactivity after exertion or labor. Relief or freedom, especially from anything that wearies, troubles, or disturbs. A period or interval of inactivity, repose, solitude, or tranquility. In the language of the day when Jesus spoke, the word he used for rest means deep peace. So let's take those definitions and everything we've learned and let's put them into the verse and make our own personal, in our language version of the verse. It would sound like this. Come to me, all of you who are physically or mentally exhausted by hard work, exertion, or strain. All of you who are fatigued or tired or stressed, you're welcome with me. You don't have to be special or smart or elite. I accept you. Connect yourself to me. Walk with me, and I will give you refreshing quiet and ease. I will give you relief and freedom, especially from anything that worries, troubles, or disturbs you. I will give you solitude and tranquility. I will give you a deep peace. Become my servant and learn from me. Walk with me day by day. I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Doesn't that sound great? You can trade weariness for rest and weakness for strength. Several years ago, after a long, hard week, I fell into bed desperately needing sleep and rest. And that night I had a dream. And in my dream, our choir was singing a song that's not really a typical worship song. I don't know that they've ever sung it. The choir was singing this song. His strength is perfect when our strength is gone. He'll carry us when we can't carry on. Raised in his power, the weak become strong. His strength is perfect. His strength is perfect. And in my dream, as they sang, the presence of Jesus filled this room. And on their own, people started walking to the front, kneeling down, tears running down their face, giving their weakness to God and receiving his strength. I watched for a moment from my seat on the front row, and then I walked to the front and I laid on the floor face down and began to weep. There was an unbelievable sense of rest and peace in the presence of the Lord. I woke up with tears running down my face, knowing I'd been in the presence of God. And I sensed God reminding me, I wrote it down. Here's what I sensed the Lord saying to me. When you come to the end of your strength, you're nowhere near the end of mine, because my strength never ends. Give me your weakness, your weariness, your tiredness and fatigue. I'll replace it with a strength that's way beyond your own, because in your weakness, I am made strong. Scriptural. Paul, when he was exhausted and weary, heard from God and wrote it down. And Paul wrote 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness and insults and hardship and persecutions and difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. When you pretend to be strong, you say, I can take it, I can do anything for a while, I don't need a break, I got this. And when you do that, you operate in your own strength. When you acknowledge your weakness, that creates an opportunity for the strength of God to fill you. It's when you are weak, it's when you're tired and you admit you need his strength, that's when you become strong. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." It's been quite a few years ago. Some of you have been around for a long time, might remember. We used to have a lady who came, and she'd come in for the 8:30 service in the far back row of that section. And as soon as the music started, she'd lay down across 3 chairs and go to sleep. And she'd stay asleep the whole service. And then many weeks, she'd come back at 10 o'clock and do the same thing. Sleep. After a few months, kind of got to me a little. I mean, I'd like to think I'm mildly interesting, occasionally amusing. I don't know. And she's sleeping through it all every week. And so we're like, okay, we need to figure this out. So I went back for a service, introduced myself. I said, "I notice you sleep every week during service." And she said, "Oh, Pastor Rob, I'm so sorry." And then she told me her story and everything going on in her life and all the stress and all the pressure and all the fear. She said, I can never really sleep because I'm afraid. But when I walk in the door on Sunday mornings, I feel surrounded and safe in the presence of Jesus. And I sleep. And it's the only time I get good rest and sleep. I said, "Come on. You can sleep while I preach anytime. If that's what you need from the Lord, receive it." If you're weary and burdened, take it to Jesus. Admit you're tired. Acknowledge your weakness. Don't fake it. He already knows. I understand that you fake it for people. I get that. But you don't have to fake it for Jesus. He already knows where you're at. So it makes sense to be honest with him. He accepts you, even with all your weakness. It's okay to be tired. Take his yoke upon you. Learn from him. It's not just sit here and hope. It's an action coming to him. It's changed the way you approach life. Adapt to his way and his rhythm. Connect yourself to him. Learn his grace and learn his pace. How does that happen? The only way a student can learn from the rabbi was listening to his voice, doing life with him, and spending time with him. The only way you'll learn to walk and work and live at Jesus' pace and his strength is to spend time with him and to listen for his voice. You say, "Pastor Rod, if I slow down and do that, how am I going to get everything done?" You're going to crash and then you won't get anything done. If you've been pushing and pushing and you're weary, it's time to exchange that for rest. Hear the voice of Jesus calling to you, and he's saying, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." So here's what I want you to do. Sit back, relax, close your eyes. We're going to put this into practice, right? And receive this.
ocean in the night, when the sea of anxious thoughts won't subside, I'll listen to the words you say. You're telling me, do not be afraid. So I close my eyes and breathe, 'cause I know that you're surrounding me. Here in the night, till the morning brings the sunrise, I will abide in your peace that guards my mind as I lie awake. I won't be afraid. I receive it, the rest of God. You are my comfort in my soul, when I'm tired and the fight is long. I'll trust the promises you made. In the middle of the pain, you stay. So I'll close my eyes and breathe, because I know that you're surrounding me. Here in the night, till the morning brings the sunrise, I will abide in your peace that guards my mind as I lie awake. I won't be afraid. I receive it, the rest of God. I dwell in safety, I sleep in peace. Your hand sustains me, you never leave, and you won't forsake me, you never change. Your holy presence is mine always. Here in the night, till the morning brings the sunrise, I will abide in your peace that guards my mind as I lie awake. I won't be afraid. I receive it. I receive it. Here in the night, till the morning brings the sunrise, I will abide in your peace that guards my mind as I lie awake. I won't be afraid. I receive it. I receive it. I receive it. I receive it, the rest of God.
Jesus, I pray for the weary. For those who are run down, worn out and exhausted. Or it goes beyond just being tired one day. It's just that deep down, can't shake it fatigue. We come to you and connect to you, and we receive rest. Lord, I pray for rest for troubled minds, rest for anxious spirits. I pray for rest for worn out bodies and tired minds. And I speak the peace of God in Jesus' name. Forgive us, Lord, for thinking we can sustain an unsustainable pace and that somehow it will bring glory to you. Forgive us for our excuses. Forgive us for running ahead of you. And so we connect to you. Teach us your grace and teach us your pace. And I pray that over the course of the next 2 weeks, in the midst of all the busyness and the celebrations and family and travel and everything else, I pray for just moments of rest. I specifically pray, Lord, for people who've had difficulty sleeping because their mind's racing. I pray that they would find true peace and true rest in your presence, and that you would renew and refresh in the place of weakness. We receive your strength. In Jesus' name, amen.